Absolutely. You were trying to say something when we cut you off, Ricky.
I said that don't you guys leave me out here by myself. You know, these people, they hold grudges, and, you know, I'm going to continue to do what I do.
But before Kevin started talking, you were trying to say something to Kevin. Do you remember what that was?
What was I saying? Oh, good that you're on the show, Kev. I can't remember exactly what it was, but, you know, Kevin is a trailblazer, man. He's out here, you know, like I was saying, he's in South Central with his cameras, and sometimes I'll be worried about him. You know, I say, man, you got to be careful going over there, Kevin. I grew up over here. So, you know, they have a little white guy with a camera over here, you know.
Amazing. Kevin, you know, there's so many questions I've asked Ricky, and I want Ricky to, talk more about his experience in prison, before that with the CIA. But Kevin, any questions you've got for Ricky?
Oh, you know, not really. I mean, we talk all the time, but it just, you know, once again, it just makes me happy to hear Ricky on the show finally, and being able to express himself so well. And I know, Kevin. Obviously, you talk to Ricky all the time. You guys are good friends. I'm saying, any interesting questions for the radio listeners? Well, you know, why don't you talk a little bit about the halfway house experience and you know, that whole process that you were forced to go through and how ridiculous that was.
Oh, yeah, that's another one, Alex. They expect us to go out in the halfway house. You know, now every place you go, you got to fill out a job application online, right? You would think that the halfway house would have computers, right?
Yes.
No computers, no cell phones. You can only go out at a certain time to look for a job. I mean, total BS. Guess how much they make a day for holding an inmate? $75. Taxpayers' money.
And they call these places halfway house. It's a total joke. I mean, my brother was mentally ill, and he was in what I would consider a real halfway house. They're actual houses. When I went to go see this place that they had Ricky in, these aren't halfway houses. These are like little mini prisons that are like just scattered all over our neighborhoods. I mean, this is like a little miniature prison. It was almost like a high school, the size of a high school, with 300 people sleeping there, just in the middle of the neighborhood. You know, it's incredible. This is like a whole other scam taking place right under our noses.
And all the research shows, I want Ricky to speak to this, just from personal experience, that when you put large populations of people in prison, especially for nonviolent crime, they become colleges of crime. The people now have a record. Now they're part of the criminal underworld, and this creates more and more crime. You know, police always send me emails and say, I'm glad we've got more people in prison than China or the whole EU combined. Well, no, I'm not glad, because I know that creates a culture of crime. Ricky.
Absolutely. You take young guys that come in prison and they only was, you know, buying $1,000 worth of drugs. Now he's with a kingpin from Colombia or from Mexico or with bank robbers. And these older guys, they feed off of these young kids. You know, like for me, I fed off of them too, but I was trying to teach them the things that I've been through. But a lot of times in prison, that doesn't happen. That's why they're so concerned right now with terrorism. Because they know that they give these young kids so much time, Alex. You know, you give a kid 18, 19 years old, 20 years in prison, he's going to be bitter.
I'm sorry. And as we discussed in the new film, How Weed Won the West, there's an incarceration rate that actually the government's own research has shown, where when we hit a certain level of incarceration, it makes crime rates go up.
Which is then more police to control more people, to make more money, to put more people in the prisons, as the military-industrial complex absorbs America. Ricky Ross, the naked body scanners they want to put everybody through at airports, recording our naked bodies. I mean, we're all being trained to be prisoners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we don't stop it, Alex, if we don't stop it, we're not going to have any rights. They can tap our phones now whenever they want to. Your friends can come and record you. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what is America coming to? Are we becoming Germany?
It's amazing. Ricky, again, how do people support what you're doing with your community programs?
Well, they can donate money to us at freeway-enterprise.com. They can contact me on there. I have my own email address is rickross, RICKROSS 90746 @gmail.com. I definitely need help because I'm trying to start programs here in South Central for the kids. I also need help with my traveling. You know, right now I'm putting it out of my check. You know, when I go around the country, speaking to kids in different schools. We plan on doing a tour here in California where I go to like 20 schools and, you know, just educate the kids. And I would appreciate any help that I can get, and anybody that would like to volunteer to come out to the schools and support would be much appreciated.
And you're explaining to children that the drug culture is evil and designed to destroy them, correct?
Absolutely, and that just because they feel that they're going against the government by selling drugs is just what the government have in mind. You know, they have us thinking that by selling drugs, you're rebelling against the government. But that's exactly what the government wants you to think. It's like a reverse psychology thing that they've done to the kids, because most of the kids that get involved with drugs consider themselves rebels.
Absolutely. And in truth, you're funding the big banks, and you're allowing them to now have a pretext to control and run your life and destroy your communities.
And I'd like to just, and I've been lucky enough to travel with Ricky on at least one of the trips that he went to, and I just want to say it's what an incredible effect he has to go to a place like a detention center where you've got a bunch of teenagers who they won't listen to anybody, but when Ricky walks in the room, they definitely all shut up and they listen to every word he has to say, and it's really quite moving to see it in person.
I've got some questions here from listeners. Here's a Twitter question, Ricky. What other illegal activities was your CIA supplier involved with to give himself credibility to hook you in? I mean, how did they keep you from knowing it was the CIA?
Guns, hand grenades, fully automatic weapons, machine guns.
So the CIA wasn't just bringing in cocaine, they were bringing in guns.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. And then the public gets even more scared, and they get more police to then control the public.
And they got all this firepower. You know, remember? And then they need more time. Remember, they increased the minimum mandatory. Well, now we need minimum mandatory so we can put them in prison longer, because these guys are more violent than they used to be. Well, you know, gave them guns.
That's come out in Florida, the CIA was supplying, and I knew in Texas. But so this CIA handler, and this came out in hearings and in court, folks, was also supplying weapons, which was...
He told them they used to sell me weapons.
Didn't they used to have a front as like some sort of car place or something, so some sort of car dealership?
They had a car dealership. They had a security thing where they did security for different people, and you know, they had a bunch of different fronts.
Ricky, so this whole time you were working for them, they kept it secret that they were CIA, or did you ever hear that, or did you ever wonder?
No, I never knew. I never had a clue. Only thing that I knew, Alex, is that they were fighting a war in their country. I did know that. I knew that much about it. That's what they had told me many times. That's why they stole drugs.
Oh, so they admitted to you that they were funding a war in their country.
Right. They admitted that. Now, where the war was at, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about Nicaragua. I knew nothing about Contras, nor the CIA at that time.
Did you know how they were getting the drugs into Southern California?
Nope. They wouldn't tell me that. Well, you know, he was a racist and a bigot, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gary found a tape that they had where he said, just like you said, you know, give it to the end, you know, nobody cares what happens to him.
Yeah, I think there's that soundbite of him actually in American Drug War where he says, you know, I hate the ends, but they deal in cash, so let's use them.
That's exactly what I think you hit it right on the head, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, folks, you can get American Drug War and How the Weed Won the West at Infowars.com. This film is out. You can get it half price when you order How Weed Won the West, which comes out in 12 days at Infowars.com. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Alex, guess what? The courts wouldn't let us play that tape to the jury. They let this guy testify against me and said that tape had absolutely nothing to do with his testimony.
Him saying we're dealing drugs to the N-words.
Right. And don't nobody care about him. And that he didn't like him. Because I never heard the tape because the judge wouldn't let us play the tape in court.
Well, for 150 years, it's been on record that the prostitution, the gambling, the drug dealing is allowed in the poor areas, especially the black areas. We'll be right back.